Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Not gonna lie, I was seriously about to say GH. So the question of the day is, who killed Charlie Dale? Because let's be honest, throughout this episode, damn near everyone threatened him. And you know what? Again, I gotta give this actor props because I can sit there and play a character that was involved in that was involved in rape. It's just certain things I just wouldn't do, you know? No matter how much money they threw at me, I just, no. So let's see. So yeah, we pretty much kind of leave off with yesterday, which is kind of odd. It's pretty much both of them, Bella and Charlie, struggling for the phone. And of course, he erases it, and then he acts all smug, and then he walks off, and then Claire is upset. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel like I literally felt like we just watched this yesterday. And I know we did, but it was like, damn, I'm just talking about the exact same thing. So let's just kind of skip ahead of that, since most people saw it yesterday. Pretty much after that, Claire continues to kick herself. She's like, why did I not leave when I had the phone? And I'm just like, Claire, not to kick you when you down, but why didn't you just not run away? I mean, there was so many different options she could have did with her phone or whatever. Like, she could have just stopped the recording. She could have just turned off her phone and, you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, I guess this is just the way that it had to play out, because plot. That's pretty much the only thing I could sit there and say. But, yeah, so she kicks herself, and then she goes in the room. And at this point, Bella calls Sean. Now, of course, Bella also threatened Sean. And you see throughout this episode, the whole town pretty much threatens to kill Charlie. So, of course, at this point, Claire goes in the room, which she just sneaks off and goes over to Allie's place, and she's all apologetic. She's like, she's pretty much kicking herself for, she got justice, but, she didn't get away, and the recording got, erased. She's talking to Claire for a little bit, and, Claire's just trying to calm her down and be like, listen, you gotta kind of go easy on yourself, like, you didn't know he was a psychopath. A lot of these people mask their feelings, their true intentions, and stuff like that. At some point in this conversation, this is where it gets dark. And you know what? On this note, I'm all for Allie doing what needs to be done. We all know what I said yesterday about taking out somebody's joystick, because, it's a privilege, and when you abuse that privilege, you forfeit that right. Let's just put it that way. Allie's pretty much like, you know what? I'm tired of other people trying to get justice for me. Let me do this my damn self. Claire's like, that's a bad idea because, you go to prison, you lose your son, you lose your future, all that good stuff. And Allie's just like, well, that's if I get caught. Now, I'm not gonna lie, she was like, well, I know my grandmother keeps her gun at, and I'm like, you honestly think that she's just gonna leave it in the same place that she left it at the first time when you try to, take it to, take care of the trip? But, it should be interesting either way. But yes, this time I'm obviously all for it. I'm not going to sit there and rehash the whole, how I felt about Allie and yada yada yada. But, she is 100% certain that he did it, and he's so smug about it that, yeah, again, I'm all for it. Some point, John runs into Charlie, and a little fun fact that I didn't know. You go on Instagram. I'm just gonna leave the video in the description box. But I didn't know that John was a priest at one point. How did this take place? I mean, I know it was like in the 90s, but like, still. But yeah, he runs into Charlie, and he damn near loses it. And, at first I was like, you know what, listen, even if he didn't have that thing that was going on with his brain, I'm pretty sure he still would have lost it. And, Charlie acts all smug, and once again, John is like, I'm gonna kill you. He lets him go, Charlie walks off, and that's just suspect number two. Because, at this point we're just playing a game of Clue. Trip and Steve are talking about Henry, and he had a good talk with Allie, and he forgave her and everything like that. And at some point they run into Charlie. Now, Trip is like, Henry's gonna need a strong role, male model, in his life and stuff like that. And technically, he is his uncle. He's like, I'm gonna do what I can to help out Allie and the baby. And of course, at this point, Charlie's like, no, you're not. And he gets all possessive, and he's like, you're not gonna come near my son. And they go back and forth, and Steve gets in it, and Steve, like the other people, threatens Charlie, and Charlie kind of just scurries off. And I shouldn't sit there and say scurries off, because he really just walks away all smug, like, you can't prove anything, and, the tester, whatever Ava says is going to matter, because, between the drugs and the fact that she's just probably not a reliable witness, nothing's going to matter. So he just walks off. So yeah, another person. I'm pretty sure Trip also threatened him. I'm not too sure, but I'm damn sure know that Steve threatened him. We got Ava, Rafe, and Nicole. Now, after they get settled in, after Ava gets settled in, Nicole thanks him and everything like that. She leaves because she wants to get some stuff for Ava, so this way she doesn't have to go back to her apartment. So she goes back to the apartment, and she runs into Charlie. She runs into Charlie, and, Charlie's all like, oh, where's my mother at? And, Nicole's like, you're going to get what you deserve. Somewhere along the lines, Charlie threatens to kill, and this is something that I really didn't understand. So Charlie threatens to kill Trip. He threatens to kill Trip, and he's just like, well, if I kill Trip, then, Ava will have no other choice but to love me. He says this in front of Nicole, and I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell kind of villain or bad guy or whoever is going to sit there and announce, maybe if I just kill this person, then all my problems will go away. I probably shouldn't be saying this in front of you, but I am. Like, who does that? I felt that scene so damn jarring. But anyway, he says what he says, and he leaves. Ava thanks Rafe, and they have somewhat of a truth time. As far as, like, Rafe didn't really want her there, and Nicole had to kind of strong arm him, or use her, there's pretty much no other way to sit there and say she pretty much had to be nice. I was going to sit there and say use her charm, is the nice way of putting it, but yeah. And pretty much, Ava was just like, well, I get it, you don't like me, and you have good reason, but I want to turn my life around, and yada, yada, yada. So when Nicole comes back, the first thing Nicole should have did was when she was talking to Rafe was, hey, by the way, just to let you know, Charlie threatened to kill Trip. So you might want to kind of get on that. But she doesn't. Hell, she doesn't really say anything. She's just kind of quiet. And Ava and Rafe had to kind of pull it out of her before Rafe, got some phone calls he had to take. And at this point, Ava's like, what's going on? Why don't you tell me what's going on? Like, oh, I ran into Charlie and nothing. And I'm like, really? Really, Nicole? Really? The first thing you should have did, but okay, sure. Finally, she does actually say, that Charlie threatened Nicole. Now, I mean, I am kind of skipping the scene a little bit. There's a part where Charlie's like, everything happened was Ava's fault, and, sending me to London, and yada, yada, yada. It's not Ava's fault for any of this. It's not. Because Charlie always had the choice to sit there and make to be a good person or to be a bad person. With that being said, Ava probably didn't help his mental health at best. The way she treated him, the way she was always there putting him at second best, Now, how do I sit there and put it? I know that when you're a parent, you're not supposed to have favors, even though maybe secretly you probably do. But even with that being said, she was so, blatantly obvious with the fact that always putting Charlie down, always hyping up Trip. I mean, she didn't even sit there and try to act like Trip mattered. I mean, that Charlie mattered at all. So I thought that was pretty, terrible on Ava's part. But, nonetheless, Ava threatens to kill Charlie also. I'll bring him in this world, I'm gonna take him out. I'm like, really? Really, your own son? I mean, I get you don't like him and you like Trip better, but, seriously? What else? Now, when Steve was sitting there talking to Trip, Trip made some very good points. As far as, he may be able to get away with it. He may even actually prove to be the better parent. With Allie and her history, and even coming to, Salem and trying to give away her child, and then coming back, handing him off to Nicole. He can finesse it where he looks like the better parent. At some point, Marlena and John are talking. Marlena tries to calm him down, make some tea. At this point, she leaves, and John decides to go out for a walk. Now, a couple hours later, they say late into the night, this is when Charlie answers the door, and he gives the worst performance possible when he opens the door and it's like, no, please, don't shoot. Yo, bro, you having an off day or something? Because up until this point, your acting was solid. I mean, you're a terrible character, but your acting was solid. And then that's the best that you could sit there and do? At this point, I'm pretty sure I heard a gunshot and somebody killed Charlie. So, I guess, again, the question is, who killed Charlie? What are your thoughts? Write it down in the comment section below. I don't think I really missed too much of anything. If I did, yeah. Write it down. Let me know. With that being said, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe. I will catch everyone in the next review.